Hey, welcome back, everybody. It is Trash Talk, and get your tickets. Get your tickets. We're going to the amusement park today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to yours because I'm not going to this behind me. Okay. For all my friends back in Michigan or Canada, you guys probably recognize the Bobolo Island boat after they shut that baby down.
There was a paddle wheeler that the paddle wasn't exactly quite in sync.
Good old days of Boblo. What a unique
and this one behind
experience.
me. I mean, there's a lot of things I'll go to an amusement park, but I don't do roller coasters.
Have you ever?
When I was a kid, I think I went on a couple of roller coasters, and a couple of times I think I lost my lunch and said, that's it.
I was a junkie, like a roller coaster junkie. I was like, oh, this thing goes upside down 7 times, I'm in.
Well, and this one, it looks like more traditional, but you're right.
It does have a turn there. It does look like it turns. I don't know what amusement park that is, but
well, and they have the ones where you don't even sit in a seat or a gondola or something. Your like legs are
dangling.
Hanging.
Yeah, those are intense, man. Especially when you go. So being from up north, Cedar Point is the pinnacle of, and it still is, in my opinion, it's still one of the best roller coaster amusement parks. I mean, it's listed as one of the best in the country, and they always try to outdo themselves. Like, this is the steepest, this is that. We used to go there quite a bit, especially in high school. That was a big thing. In summer, we'd always make the trip to Cedar Point, a couple hours into Ohio, and you just go have a great time at Cedar Point. I am not the guy, though, now, especially, but even back then, I didn't like things that went in circles, like fast. Like, they were like, oh, sitting. Yeah, no way. Like, that was just torture.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was pretty selective because I had kind of a weak stomach. I'm also afraid of heights.
Well, yeah,
so,
yeah.
It took me a long time to go into a Ferris wheel, which is a no nonsense kind of a ride. You just it's just that when you get to the top of a Ferris wheel, I have a tendency to close my eyes.
No, it's terrifying. I am not even scared of heights at all. And I'm terrified. The last time I went on a Ferris wheel with Luke, who's Mr. like, oh, Dad, look at this. I'm like, bro, don't move. Sit down. I was having a panic attack. I needed like a Xanax, a shot of tequila. I was freaking out. And we went to the Frisco Fair, and he's like, we're going on the roller coaster. And I'm like, or not roller coaster, Ferris wheel. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't know what happened. Like, my mind started thinking about everything breaking and how would I save him. And like, I was a full-blown mental patient.
Right. And there are people that ride the circuit. They will travel all over the country to go from Palisades Park, out on the West Coast, and Oconee Island. We down here in Galveston, they've got the pier, and that seems to be a big thing. Navy Pier in Chicago too.
Well, the piers, the piers are cool.
Have a Ferris wheel and then have all kinds of other stuff.
It is a beautiful, amazing thing when you're up there. The view is second to none. But I got to be honest with you, especially like at these carnivals, some of the bigger name carnivals. Look, every time I pick up the paper, or I don't pick up the paper, but every time I scroll past the paper online, the online, stories or whatever, there's an article about, somebody fell off this and died. A girl just died because she wasn't strapped in. She just died. She's like 10 years old.
Yeah. Well,
I'm good. Keep me on the ground.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I mean, they had the little boats that would go around in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
You get in a little boat, and ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Can I ride this again?
Or what about even like again, like the log rides where you go in the log and then you go down and get wet. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm in, but I don't know, man. Like, I remember the demon drop. That was the big thing, right? When you walked into Cedar Point was the demon drop.
Ooh.
Essentially, it's an elevator. You go up, you go in the elevator, and it's like, this is what it feels like if your elevator comes crashing down. And they let it go.
Well, yeah, and a lot of them, they used to have Riverview in Chicago too, and that was one of the first places that I knew of that had a parachute lift. The same
Yes.
thing. You'd go up, and then all of a sudden they'd release you, and the parachute would open so you could get an idea of what it's like in a parachute. Except sometimes it was operated by the operator opened up the chute. So all of a sudden you're free falling, and you're thinking, when does he open the chute?
Right. Can you do this now, please?
Yeah, and it's like he's sitting there, old Boris.
Yeah, or he's over there making TikTok videos like, whatever. He's updating social media, texting his wife, his girl, whatever. Meanwhile, this chick is having a heart attack on the way down.
I mean, my real idea, my recollection of amusement parks was a little bit more the state fair kind. Not only did they have the rides and everything, but they also had the games of chance. The ring toss.
Chance, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and throwing baseballs at things on the shelf and knocking them over and trying to win stuff.
Well, that's when it's like you have these different levels. You have your state fairs, your carnivals, and then the amusement parks.
Right.
Like, Dollywood and Disney. Well, Disney's on its own level, but Cedar Point. And I tell you what, though, and I just did a podcast recently. I was talking about Boblo Island, because that's one of my memories of being back in Michigan, was the amazing Boblo Island that now is completely abandoned, but except for half the island. But and I was talking about it because I came down here the last time, minus the carnival rides, the last time I've gone on a real roller coaster, like the ones that you're talking about that go upside down and all that.
Yeah.
It was about 10 and a half years ago, shortly after I moved down here. And we went to Six Flags. Now, I know that Six Flags is other parts of the country. And I had been to a Six Flags before, not the one in Texas. But everybody told me, like, oh, it's so cool, you're going to love it. I think they either partnered with Warner Brothers, or Warner Brothers owns them, which explains a lot.
Yeah.
But I went down there and I had a fun time with the crew I was with. But I hated that park. I think it is the most ghetto, nastiest thing I've ever seen. And I went on one of the rides, and it was like the Joker ride or something.
Yeah.
And I kept on spinning upside down and went backwards and forth. I got off that ride and I ran right to the bathroom. It was a mess. and that's when I realized, all right, Brandon, you're not 25 anymore. Like, you don't like it. And I didn't go on anything after that, but the water rides, I can't do it. And I'm hoping that Luke, although I took him on a little tiny roller coaster at the Frisco Fair, but it was also one of those things where I looked at him like, if this falls, we'll still be okay. Like, we might be hurt, but we're not going to die. I really hope he doesn't want to do it, because I'm a baby now. I can't do it anymore.
And the kids just seem to have a higher tolerance level for it. I mean, my kids, but especially my daughter, my daughter will go to an amusement park and she'll take a chance on some of those, what I would call scary rides,
right.
and she'll do it. I'll be sitting there watching her flipping, 20 different directions at the same time. And then she'll get off and say, oh man, that was so cool. I think I'm going to go do it again. And my heart's already in my throat, because I'm thinking I'm going to lose my daughter today.
Right. Like, I'm already thinking about going on a roller coaster, going upside down, and I'm going to get sick before I even get on it.
Yeah.
I just can't take it anymore. But I do like we're going to Disney in a couple of years when he turns 7. And I know they've added a lot more stuff since I went, obviously.
Yeah.
And some different, more, thrill rides, but he's also not going to be able to go on all those at 7. Yeah. Some of them he will, but there's some that he, if he's got my genes, he ain't going to be that tall. So,
Dumbo's ride was probably, my most serious ride.
Well, Space Mountain, I remember going on Space Mountain.
Yeah.
That's not bad, because it doesn't go upside down.
Yeah, and in the Epcot,
that's not bad either.
Goes through space and all, but I still prefer, it's a wild world, You get a little river boat and you just kind of meander through.
It's kind of creepy though. It is creepy. They're all singing and I'm just looking at them like,
yeah. But everybody's looking at you say, isn't this ride a little bit young for you?
Yeah. You're like, calm down, you know? But I mean, I don't know, like the thrill rides, my cat just knocked something over if you heard that. I'm going to throw him on this boat in a minute. He ain't making the move. I mean, I'm so out of touch. So like, I've got a buddy back in Michigan that loves thrill rides. He will go on, like you said, one after another after another. I don't know how he does it. I have no idea. Cause I'm like, don't you get sick? And he's 44 years old.
Well, I mean, there are just some people, like I said, there are people that are, you know, in their 50s and 60s that they'll take off on a road trip and just go around the country and find these places where they have, and, you know, they advertise this new roller coaster or something. It's the longest in America. It's the tallest in America. It's the fastest. It's got the greatest dive. It goes from, you know, 200 feet in the air down into a totally black tunnel, you know, and you just plunge into that stuff. And it's like there were these psychologists or something that must have gotten together and said, let's see, how can we really, you know, develop some kind of rides or something that's really going to scare the crap out of people.
Well, yeah. And then they sit there and they did a study too about people that looking for that thrill. And I do think it does have an age thing. I mean, I think some people it'll never go away.
Right.
But I think some people it's age and your body changes. Your body like can't stand certain things after a while that just, you know, you change. And man, I didn't realize that. I really thought I could just get up there and do it again. But I do think they're cool. There's a lot of amusement parks that offer, you know, other stuff besides like, you know, you got the restaurants, the food, the shows, the fun rides, the games. You know, I love playing those games. I know 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to win anything cool. I just want to play it.
Yeah.
I just want to have fun with it.
Either that, you do come home with that stuffed animal for your son. And you only invested about $65 in order to win it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's, you know what, I think I said this before. When the Frisco Fair comes to town, and it is outrageously expensive, the one thing I think is cool is that every single game you play, you get some. It might not be the big, but you get something. I mean, they told me that flat out because he played, man, he had a blast. He came home like he was loaded with stuff. And he was having fun, you know, because he was like, okay, I didn't win this, but I got to pick this. And
right.
That's pretty cool. I think it's cool for kids.
Or you take 2 or 3 of the things that you have and you upgrade them to something else.
That's what that's what I told him. I said, you know, you can, there goes our internet again. You know, you can combine those and upgrade them. And he was like, no, I want all of them. And I'm like, well, that's fair.
Of course.
Yeah, I need 7 more random stuffed animals in my house.
When I was a kid, I used to go visit my grandmother out in the New Jersey, and we used to go out to the New Jersey shore on the boardwalk. Nice. And my favorite game of chance, if you will, is Skee Ball. Mm-hmm. I used to just love playing Skee Ball. And every once in a while, you can go to an arcade and find a Skee Ball machine.
Absolutely.
That was my thing.
You get those tickets, man. You get those tickets, you know?
Right. You know, and in order to get this rubber ball or something, it's only 450 tickets.
Right. You know what stinks nowadays at most of the Skee Ball things that I've gone to, like there's a couple of them around here, is they don't even do it on tickets anymore. They just put it on a card. So you don't get to see this awesome line of tickets coming out. You just like, oh, here's your 50 tickets. I'm like, it's on this little plastic credit card. Yeah. I miss the days of seeing those, like, especially back in the day when like Chuck E. Cheese was cool and we had Little Caesars.
Spit the tickets out.
There'd be lines of tickets, you know, and then you get that half ticket. And if you just pulled it gently enough, you get an extra ticket, you know?
Right. Dave and Buster's is another one. I think.
Well, they're still around. They just bought out. Crap. What's that place in It's in Frisco, right off the tollway. It's like Dave and Buster's, but I can't think of the name of it. But they just merged and bought a Main Event.
The main. Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they bought all the Main Events. So now I think eventually I think it's going to be like Dave and Buster's Presents Main Event, because there's a Dave and Buster's just down the street in the mall.
Right.
But yeah, they just bought those. But Dave and Buster's is cool. It's a fun place, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That's where I learned how to drive a race car.
At Dave and Buster's.
And there's probably an awful lot of kids that learned how to drive a race car at Dave and Buster's. Then they got 16 years old and got their driver's license.
And just went out.
They had a flashback. Get out there on the North Dallas Tollway. And, hey, let me show you what I learned at Dave and Buster's.
I think my favorite, one of my favorite amusement parks, which isn't really an amusement park, but it kind of is, it was Dollywood when I went there, because it was so different and so unique. They had their thrill rides, they had fun rides, but it was all this theme stuff throughout. And It was in the middle of like the woods, like there was woods everywhere. And I remember that as a kid being really cool to look at.
Yep. That's in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
I had a blast there. I mean, it might suck now. I don't know, but I mean, I was
think
little.
It's probably twice the size of what it was when you went.
Yeah, I was young. I'm pretty sure my sister wasn't born yet. Maybe if she was a little. So I just don't remember her.
Yeah.
So,
well, and a lot of these that are opening up around the country are themed, wherever they are. If they're, in the Northwest, they theme it around that, if it's around Indian reservations or something, it's got an Indian type theme, down. I'm waiting for them to open one up in the Everglades or something. That's,
I'm sure they have one,
a crocodile themed, park.
That's an amusement park by itself. The Everglades.
Yes. Yeah.
Six Flags is in Arlington. It's themed. It's ghetto. Totally perfect. It's just ghetto.
There's one in North Georgia too, Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
In Georgia, there's one up there too. Yeah. Well, some people love them. I mean, as I say, I'll ride on anything that's close to the ground. If it gets up in the air, I'll maybe sit and watch. But anyhow, if you love amusement parks, go for it.
Have fun.
And if you love amusement, come back here again on Tuesday at 8 a.m. for more trash talk, because this is the most amusing thing I can do all week.
Pretty much.
Catch you next time. Bye.